Nintendo is known for their multiplayer games packed with all kinds of fun gameplay. In fact, the best-selling Nintendo Switch game of all time is none other than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a game from a franchise that has always had a primary focus on its multiplayer game modes. And hey, I would argue that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has some of the best multiplayer on the Nintendo Switch. Now that it's the lovely holiday of Valentine's Day, let me go ask my wife if she wants to play some Mario Kart with me. This is where my lovely wife would be.
If I had one!
Well, like I was saying, let's take a look at some of the single-player, solo, depressing, forever alone, secluded experiences on Nintendo Switch. No, in all seriousness, I think it's fun to see how Nintendo incorporates single-player gameplay in some of their multiplayer-focused games, especially for all of us lonely folk this Valentine's Day. As I was saying, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a game that really shines with its multiplayer. But would you believe it, there are actually some ways that you can enjoy this game solo if you want to. Firstly, while it might not necessarily count as true single-player, you can play some online matchmaking races as long as you're a Nintendo Switch Online member. This allows you to connect with people all around the world to play a random lobby of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe races. You can join all kinds of different tournaments, and even some online battle modes. But if you're looking for something truly all alone, you could always play offline with computer characters. There are also some really great customization options, like maybe you want to turn off those gosh dang darn blue shells, or maybe you want the computer characters to be extra difficult. There's also Grand Prix mode, which will take you through the many cups found in the game on several levels of speed or difficulty. Whether you want to take it easy on 50cc or go absolutely wild with 200cc, Grand Prix is essentially the story mode of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It can be a good way to learn the many courses, all 48 if you have the base game or 96 if you have the booster course pass. Speaking of which, you can also really put your racing skills to the test with time trials, in which you try to get the fastest times on every course with nothing but 3 mushrooms. You'll find yourself looking for the best shortcuts, tight turns, and gliding path in order to get to the finish line as quickly as possible. While maybe not as hectic as racing against a bunch of other racers, it can still be quite satisfying to race through your favorite tracks and try to improve your times as much as possible. I've definitely spent countless nights experimenting and trying to see how I can take that turn just right, or utilize my mushrooms in the most optimal way possible to improve my time even just by 0.1 seconds. Of course, Nintendo's other well-known multiplayer-focused video game series has to be Mario Party. Although it literally has party in the name, there are actually quite a few single-player game modes in the latest Mario Party games. Now, I will just be focusing on Super Mario Party Jamboree because frankly, I think this is the best Mario Party game that you can get on the Nintendo Switch. And Super Mario Party Jamboree comes packed with a whole bunch of content to play, even if you are a loner on Valentine's Day. I got you, fam. Obviously, you could always just play the multiplayer game modes with computers, like the classic Mario Party board game, or now you can even play online with players from around the world. And luckily, Super Mario Party Jamboree will still reward you even if you just play by yourself with computers, because at the end of every single Mario Party board game, you will get some party points which you can use to spend on different things in the Party Plaza. And this idea of playing with computers by yourself goes for pretty much every other game mode. Whether you want to try and get high scores in all of the mini games, there's the Rhythm Kitchen game mode, which will find you and 3 other players playing mini games to the beat of the music. Even the new massive multiplayer game modes, the Koopathlon and Bowser Kaboom Squad, can all be played solo with computer characters. But there are quite a few strictly single-player modes that you'll find in Super Mario Party Jamboree. On Motion Island, you can play the motion-based game modes, like Paratroopa Flight School, in which you can do a single-player free flight mode. You pretty much just hold the Joy-Con like you are flying and you can fly around this little area. I guess it's up to you whether or not you have the dignity to actually do this by yourself. There's Toad's Item Factory, which is a cute little puzzle-based game mode. Think like the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games where you're guiding the mini Marios to the end of the level. In this one, you move the Joy-Con around to guide a ball across different obstacles, and then at the end you can see what the little toads were building in the factory. It's really cute. But the main dedicated single-player mode in Super Mario Party Jamboree is called the Party Planner Trek. This is essentially the story mode of this game. The backstory being that Kamek is trying to plan a party, but you are the one who ends up having to help Kamek out with trying to make this party a hit. And so you walk across all of the new boards found in this game, and you'll find these spaces which have little missions or goals to complete, whether it's collecting something across the map, trying to get first place in a minigame, or battling in Jamboree Showdown minigames. At the end of every board, you and all of the Jamboree characters that you've collected will fight in a boss battle. So this is a pretty interesting single-player mode included in Super Mario Party Jamboree, which once again is a party game that is primarily focused on multiplayer. Party Planner Trek is a nice introduction to all of the new game boards with new mechanics, as well as all of the new mini-games found in this game. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about a Nintendo series that focuses on multiplayer of the online variety, Splatoon. I think it's a fair statement to say that Splatoon thrives off of its online multiplayer. Without online game modes like Turf War, Splat Zones, or Salmon Run, Splatoon can honestly feel like a pretty empty experience. However, I'm here to talk about some of the single-player offerings in Splatoon 2 and 3 on Nintendo Switch. Actually, there's pretty much only one, and it's the story mode. Splatoon 2 features the Octo Canyon. In this story, you'll play as Agent 4 and battle the Octarians to get back Callie and the Great Zapfish. Splatoon 2 story mode is pretty simple, especially once we start seeing the other story mode options in Splatoon 2 and 3. There are pretty much a bunch of set stages. You travel through these areas, or I guess kind of like worlds, and at the end of each area, you'll battle a boss. The levels themselves do a pretty good job at teaching you all of the weapons, as well as a lot of the gameplay mechanics of Splatoon 2. But that's not all with Splatoon 2, because there is also a single-player DLC with the Octo expansion. And this actually comes included with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass. But anyway, in the Octo expansion, you now play as Agent 8 and try to escape the Deep Sea Metro. I will say, the first time I played Octo expansion, I thought it was a very interesting type of story mode for Splatoon. Rather than the somewhat basic sort of levels in a world type of map and gameplay, you now travel through this underground metro, and you have to explore and unlock all of the different lanes that you can take, each one having a bunch of different levels in them. I also think the vibe of Octo expansion is really interesting. It's a lot more gritty, I feel like, than the regular Splatoon 2 story mode. But then that brings us to Splatoon 3's story mode, Return of the Mammalians. This time around, it seems like Splatoon 3's main focus was on the sort of world map. Rather than something that feels a lot more linear like Splatoon 2, this one feels, I guess, a little bit more open world. I mean, it's not completely open world, like this ain't no Super Mario Odyssey or something, but it definitely feels like you can explore more at your leisure. But wait, there's more. Splatoon 3 also got a single-player story mode DLC called Side Order. In this story, you play as Agent 8 who comes across a whole different type of bleached environment, and then you have to go up the many floors of the Spire of Order. And after every 10 floors comes a boss battle, and you can obtain a key to get to the next one. Once again, Side Order will test your skills with Splatoon 3's gameplay mechanics and weapons. So hey, if you've had an interest in Splatoon but you're feeling too alone, at least Splatoon 2 and 3 come with 2 single-player story modes each. An epic multiplayer game that I don't think we could ever imagine a Nintendo system without is, of course, Paw Patrol. Oh, whoops, I mean Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is quite possibly the best fighting game on the Nintendo Switch. It comes packed to the brim with over 80 characters, over 100 stages, and a pretty extensive number of game modes. But when you first start Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, you'll have a very small character selection. In fact, it's the same starting roster as the very first Super Smash Bros. Game. So as you continue to just play the game, you'll start to unlock more and more of the character roster, roster by battling new foes as they appear. This alone can be a pretty fun, time-consuming activity to do by yourself, because once again, this game has a giant character roster. It's always a fun little surprise seeing that famous "a new foe has appeared" screen with the character's silhouette. And once you finally unlock all of the fighters, it's very satisfying to just take in this gigantic character select screen, almost like completing your favorite collection. And actually, speaking of collections, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has a hefty list of collectibles in the form of spirits. In fact, there are currently over 1,500 spirits in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And these are basically little characters, creatures, or objects from a whole bunch of Nintendo and even third-party titles. They're similar to the trophies in previous Smash Bros. Games if you're familiar with those. And the primary way that you can collect spirits is by playing through Super Smash Bros. Ultimate single-player mode called Adventure Mode World of Light. While, at least in my opinion, this is no Subspace Emissary from Super Smash Bros. Brawl, it is an interesting little single-player mode in which you can choose your favorite character and adventure through this map while battling characters that have been taken over by a monster called Galim. And as I mentioned, along the way you'll collect a whole bunch of spirits, and those spirits can actually help you in battle by giving you different attributes that you'll find helpful against different foes. Like previous Smash Bros. Games, you'll also get the Classic mode. In this mode, you choose a character and go through a series of battles to reach the end while trying to get a high score. And I think Classic mode is fun, if anything, just because you can go through every character and see what unique battles they will have. It also keeps track of your score for each character, so you could go through every single character and play through their individual Classic mode and see what high score you can get. And once again, with over 80 characters, that alone can be a really nice little rainy day activity. But if you are in fact lonely this Valentine's Day and you want to play a game that is focused only on single player, well, of course we have to talk about The Legend of Zelda. With 3D games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, or top-down games like Echoes of Wisdom, there are many options if you want to dive into a single-player adventure full of action, puzzles, and story. And hey, if you want to learn more about the Zelda games on Nintendo Switch, make sure you check out my video all about them below. Let me know in the comments what your guys' video game plans are for this Valentine's Day. For now, thank you for watching. Thank you so much to all of our members. My name is Chase, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.